And now,
it's 10 a.m.
Let's just get down to it.
And it's time for your sports fix.
Strap yourselves in, folks.
From two guys who have covered the teams you're passionate about for years.
We are professionals.
This is Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. You're welcome for hitting that post. How's it going over there, Ben? Fancy cardigan. It is cardigan weather.
Yeah, it's getting chilly out. I couldn't figure out if I was just going to go with a crew neck sweatshirt or wear a collared shirt and a cardigan and the cardigan one.
How was the weekend? You had
excellent.
A
a lot of sports.
time?
A lot of sports. You?
You know, I had a really appreciation. You know, there's the three basics to survive. I was talking to my kids about this. You have to have food, water, and shelter. I was particularly happy about shelter over the weekend. I was particularly appreciative. I mean, watching the football games in the monsoon from the comfort of my own home, as there was indeed a thunderstorm right outside.
Yep.
I was pretty stoked about shelter.
I feel that way all the time. As I've gotten older, I recognize how difficult it must be to be unhoused in the state of Utah. We do not have weather that's particularly primed for that. And yes, I had that same feeling Saturday where it was 65, 75, and gorgeous until about 4 o'clock, and it dropped to 9 degrees outside, and windy, and rainy, and horrible, and lightning, and thunder, and I just thought, oh, man, I'm going inside my home.
Yeah.
I'm going to shut the door, and I will see the lightning, and I will see the rain, and I will be protected from it all, and I'm very grateful for that. I had the exact same thought as you.
I certainly have gone soft in my old age because, you know, you remember back to your teenagers. How much did you care about the weather when you did anything as a teenager?
No, you're just out and about and you were cold. And
I've camped during so many thunderstorms. You know, I thought to myself yesterday, or Saturday, I guess, sure happy I'm not camping.
I was at Lagoon yesterday.
Oh, nice.
And bundled up. You know what I mean? Made sure I'm not going to be cold. It was 55 degrees. But all these young kids, 14 to 17 years old, who want to look cute or want to look cool, and they're going to rock their best T-shirt, or this poor girl in line at Samurai. What's the one that spins and flips around? She was just wearing like a one-piece bodysuit, and I was just like, oh, I get that probably looked cool at noon. And she was dying in line, and I just thought, yeah, I'm so glad to be past that part of my life. Because she did care. She did recognize that she had made a huge mistake and didn't have the money to rectify the problem. She couldn't go buy a Lagoon sweatshirt or anything.
No.
So, poor kid.
I wonder how many sweatshirts per fall they do sell for that reason.
Just for that reason.
I bet it's just a windfall.
Yeah. You should just walk through selling blankets.
People don't realize how chilly it gets after the sun goes away.
Yeah.
And they don't want to leave.
Yeah. They've invested the money to go.
What was the best ride of the day?
Man, Cannibal is hard to beat. I rode Primordial for the first time, and it's fun. It's fun. It's among the new rides that they've added, I would not say it's like the one you have to hit every time.
I'm still bitter about my line experience.
Yeah,
I think
I get it. I thought about it the whole time I was there.
Did you?
Were you in the little room with the cat?
Yes.
Yeah, I was thinking about you the whole time.
I heard that cat speech.
Yeah, don't jump the line.
55 times.
Yeah, I thought about you the entire line.
It was so brutal. It's the absolute worst spot to get stopped.
Yeah.
Good.
Spider, Wicked, Cannibal. They're all great. They're really good. They've done a really nice job.
Yeah, Cannibal's awesome.
Yeah, it really is.
And Wicked's good.
Yeah,
Colossus
really
holds
good.
up.
It does. It's a very good amusement park.
The white roller coaster is rickety.
It is. I rode Jetstar. My neck hurt for 3 days. So it really whips you around.
It does.
And I didn't realize I had to brace myself. So
the seating is awkward with Jetstar.
Yeah, it is. Get your buddy right in your lap.
No, oh man, you have to get. You're like, hey, we have a different relationship after today.
Yeah,
because we're doing a roller coaster together. We're in this together.
Yeah, we are.
All right. Christian was up late. The post game, Christian, was an adventure from a schedule standpoint because of the weather delay down in Tucson.
Yeah, I think I brought it upon myself because I spent all of the college football Saturday show talking about we can't have a weather delay. That would be horrible. And then it happens.
Then it looked like we were going to get one here because there was lightning leading up to the entire game, and then it was scot-free. It was pretty great.
Can we give a quick shout out to our guy, Kevin Eubank? He was on with Hans and Scotty on Friday. And I was, he comes on every Friday. And I was listening. And Kevin laid out the weather on Saturday. He said it's going to get windy about 4. The storm's going to come in. There's going to be a lot of lightning. But by game time for Utah, it should just be
rain
all the time. And I'll be doggone, Ben, if he wasn't 100% accurate.
Right on.
Like, people are looking at their Google, and it's all over the map, or at least it was for me. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go with Kevin on this.
Yeah.
Man, if he wasn't spot on. We got 2 soccer games in before that sucker blew in.
It was a beautiful day during the day. Yeah, it really was. I was thinking, maybe it's going to be not quite as ugly as they had predicted. It was. It was very ugly. But I'm glad Utah didn't have a delay, but obviously BYU did.
By the way, I had a conundrum, and obviously we have to dive in rivalry week in football and all that. But I told you my daughter Maggie had another hat trick. Shout out to the Maggle.
Get the scholarship.
And we had talked about celebrations, and I decided not to teach her one.
Mm-hmm.
And this week when she scored her first goal, she did the 2 arms in the air celebration.
It's a classic.
Which was basically mimicking me, because that's basically what I do, right?
Yeah.
But I was pretty stoked about it. I was like, good for you. That's a good one.
Yeah.
The 2 arms in the air celebration is a classic that never gets old.
Yeah.
And you're not really dancing in your opponent's face, which is funny, but also not appropriate for a 4-year-old.
Sure.
So there you go. Yeah. That's what we settled on. 2 arms up. All right. Ben, where do you want to start? Because I thought both games were interesting. BYU, that game was obviously significantly closer. And both, I think, the way both teams won, I think, is significant in trying to analyze what's going to happen on Saturday.
Let's start with BYU, because BYU was undefeated, and they did have to overcome a 10-point deficit with 4 or 5 minutes to go.
Which I think is 1,000% relevant.
Yeah.
Because my whole, and I sound like a broken record, but how many games is the Bear going to lose for you? That's how many games BYU is going to lose. Because the rest of the team is really, really good. And he's still a true freshman.
Mm-hmm.
And the Bear tried to lose this one a little bit.
Okay.
He tried a little bit. But then, Ben, this is the good news. When the game was on the line and he had to calm down and go out and win a football game in crazy circumstances,
yep,
he did just that. I think that's 100% relevant. And BYU coming from behind is really relevant, in my opinion. So it's the way that they won that I think is important.
Like any young player, development is about putting things together, and development is not linear. It's about adding this and then mess this up, but you countered with this and you kind of figure it all out. And early in the season for Bear, it was, I'm just not going to lose the game for us. I'm not going to turn the ball over, not going to be asked to do a whole lot, make a couple of reads that are pretty obvious, and then we'll move from there, like move the ball with my legs. And then they kind of started opening it up a little bit, and Aaron Roderick trusted him to throw some deep balls and kind of some safe deep balls early in the game, take some chances, or if somebody's wide open, you can throw it. And then you start to get a little bit more complicated. Teams scout you. They know what you can and can't do. And I thought Arizona played pretty well against Bear Bachmeier. The defense played shockingly well, in my opinion.
Arizona is not a bad team. I was trying to get that point across last week that I thought it was going to be harder for BYU to win in Tucson than it was for Utah to win in Salt Lake City.
Still not sure I agree with you that Arizona's a good team. But
they're better than I think you were giving them credit for. But that's neither here nor there. BYU wins the game.
But yes, Bear does not play well at all in this game, right? And if you just look at his raw stats and pull them down, especially passing the ball, and I get it was rainy, but he missed guys, he threw behind guys, he made some mistakes throwing the ball. He was 12 of 29 for 172 yards and 2 interceptions. Like a truly bad game. That's a really bad game. That's the freshman game we've been waiting for. But then as we're talking about you piece things together, he did get this situation. I'm down 10 with 5 minutes to go. I've got the ball. Can I win the game? And he did. And he scored on, 4 straight possessions because they scored the field goal, the touchdown, the field goal, the touchdown to win the game in overtime, double overtime. So he answered when it mattered most, and ideally, as he continues to develop, you start to get the best passing game that he had, which I thought came against West Virginia. And then you get the ability to close games like you have now against Arizona. And when this all melds together, you've got a very holistic approach from the quarterback position that enables you to win games.
Absolutely.
He also ran the ball, of course, extremely well, 22 carries for 89 yards.
He's going to have to, if BYU is going to beat Utah, he's going to have to be scrappy like that. And limit the mistakes, because Utah will make will make the Bear pay for the mistakes more than Arizona would, I would guess. So got to limit the mistakes, but he's going to have a scrappy game to beat the Utes.
Now, I do want to focus on one particular possession that I thought cost Arizona the game, and if I was an Arizona fan, I would be through with Brent Brennan right now. I would just be livid. It was great coaching by Kalani Sitake and Jay Hill, and whoever made this decision, I would imagine it was Kalani, but their approach to it was not the final possession, but the second to last possession of the fourth quarter for Arizona, where they get the ball back with 4:08, and they think, man, I guess they get it. Yeah, they get it with 4:08, so about 4 minutes. And they think, we're going to bleed this clock. And they're going to make BYU waste all of their timeouts before they punt the ball back, and ideally they punt it back. Here's the problem. You can't do that with 4 minutes left, actually, especially now that there's a 2-minute timeout.
The math isn't great.
The math is not great. And you're up 7. And I think the way BYU is playing, I don't think they're going to go for 2. I didn't think they were going to go for 2 at any point. Kalani never signaled that they were going to go for 2 on that final drive. The only way to, because BYU is clearly so confident, and they showed it because they don't call the timeout on the first running play, right? What's his name? Riscano runs the ball for a yard on first down. And Kalani just sits and looks at Brent Brennan like, okay, call your next play. We're not worried about you getting a first down here.
There's 4 minutes left.
There's 4 minutes left. We're going to get the ball back and we're going to score.
Yeah.
We don't care if we have 1 timeout or 3. Well, we want 1. We don't need all of our timeouts. But give us a 2-minute timeout and 1 timeout of our own, and we're going to beat you. Or at least we're going to send this thing to overtime. At that point, if you're Brent Brennan, you have to audible. You have to say, hey, look, the only way we lose this game is if they touch the ball again. So we can't let them touch the ball again. This can no longer be about bleeding their timeouts. And Kalani basically admitted that, or Jay Hill basically admitted that. They said, as long as we get the ball back, we're going to score and tie it. And Brent Brennan says, we're going up the middle. We're going to run it up the middle on second down, too, and pick up 3 yards. So now you've gone 4 yards total over 30 seconds, and you've only cost BYU 1 timeout, and now you're going to give them the ball back with 3.5 minutes left. It's like, yeah, dummy, they're going to beat you. You might as well forfeit the game right now. And BYU knows this, and you're the only one apparently in the building who didn't seem to know this. I was shocked watching this, what I thought was malpractice from Brent Brennan and the Arizona defense at that point, or the Arizona offense, because I thought they'd play well. But yeah, the only way you can lose this game possibly is by giving BYU the ball back. If you move the ball, which just run your offense and move the ball and don't give them the ball back, you can win this game because they don't get it. And you're up by 7. You have all the cards. And he just said, well, we're going to let BYU play their way. We'll see if we can stop them. I thought it was ridiculous. I thought that was idiotic from Brent Brennan. It's why I think Arizona's going to end up 6 wins maybe, And then they played BYU tough. I certainly picked BYU to win bigger than this. So I don't want to lose sight of that last week. But I was really, really aghast at some of the late game play calling from Arizona that allowed BYU to get back in the game. Because up 10 with 4 minutes to go, you got to win that game.
Yeah, and the coaching mistakes were probably made. It is kind of funny about college football, though, if that running back had gotten 2 extra yards and they had a 3rd and short, and all of a sudden things changed. So, it is the funny part about college football is it does come down to, this is a Broncoism, but execution of the players on the field. I think sometimes that shirks some of the responsibility that you're talking about to put them in a position to succeed.
Just go win. I just hated the idea that they said, we know we're planning to give BYU the ball back, but we want it to be with a little less time.
It's the mindset.
Instead of just saying, hey, we're going to go win the game. It just showed no confidence in his team.
He would tell you he's playing 4D chess, and you would tell him, well, you're really overthinking it.
Yeah.
On like a conservative side of things.
Yes.
And coaches make those mistakes. We've seen the local teams make those mistakes. Yeah. It's just not a perfect science by any means. And
credit Kalani and Jay Hill for not calling that timeout, because I think it totally ruined Arizona's plans.
Yeah.
I thought it was really smart. And then what I love about Kalani most as a coach, he plays to win. He plays to win games. Even like the weird half onside kick that they did to maybe get the ball back, I thought, like, that's aggressive. You sacrificed, not that many because I still think they only got the ball at the 25-yard line. But they were like, you know what? We're not going to go onside kick here. It's probably a little early to do that. And I trust my defense. We got a good defense. But let's still give ourselves a chance on this kickoff to get the ball back because I want to win this game. I'm going to play to win this game. And I love that about Kalani because every play call seems to be driven that way.
Called a fake punt on his own goal line, 4th and 20.
Somebody did. I don't know if it was Kalani. but I love that about the way Kalani plays.
Wasn't it Linehan, I think? Johnny Linehan, the punter? And I think he did come out afterward and said, well, I called my own number. Liked what I saw.
Did you? So I love that about Kalani. That's just
it's a
such a
mindset
great
thing.
way to play, and his players pick it up, and that's why a guy like Baker, or excuse me, I'm watching. That's why Bear Bachmeier can go win a game despite the fact he'd been playing poorly most of the game. There's just a belief that they are going to go win this game. That's how Kalani coaches, so that's how his players play, and I love that about him.
And it does. I think it shows a lot about the freshmen and how they have rallied around, the quarterback, which was an important thing. And we talked about that a lot at the beginning of the season. After the quarterback battle's behind you, you have to put it behind you. You can't have the other quarterback having a share of the support of the team. Mm-hmm. That's ultimately what went wrong with Riley Nelson and Jake Heaps. And it would appear that the Bear has every confidence from that team, even when he's not playing well. I mean, we talk about his pure passing stats, and you're correct. But, if you do the math, which don't do the math on the air, but he's, 250 total yards? In the game, find a way to impact it.
In a rainstorm, you've got to find a way to win the game.
250 total yards and 3 touchdowns in a rainstorm to bring your team from behind to win in those circumstances on the road.
Yeah.
I mean, that says a lot about the Bear, I think, but it does say a lot about his teammates and not having doubt. Does that make any sense? Mm-hmm. And we talked about his ability to kind of be unflappable in the previous game after making mistakes. Well, that's what it earns you earns you the support of the team, and I think that really matters in this case. The fact that they're 6-0 solidifies it with no doubt going into what do we talk about, Ben? The toughest part of any BYU schedule of all time.
Yeah, the next 6 weeks of BYU schedule are considerably different than their first 6
Imagine
weeks.
if they were hemming and hawing, and we were talking about the backup quarterback right now.
Oh yeah, if they were 4-2 right now with a loss to Colorado and Arizona,
and we're like, hey, what about that Hillstead?
Yeah.
How's that looking? Yeah. I mean, that would be disastrous.
Correct. And they're not. They're 6-0. It's absolutely their best asset right now is that they are 6-0.
And the only one advocating for McKay to step in and get the start is his mother.
Yeah.
Which, bless her if she's listening. Way to support.
Janae.
Is that really who it is? I was just making
Janae
this up.
And McKay,
yeah, okay.
I thought that'd be cool.
I don't want people to think like, what is she tweeting out or something?
No, I don't know.
McKay should get the start? No, we're just totally making this up. I'm sure she does support her son.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But on this team, they're all about the Bear, and that's how it needs to be if you're going to play a true freshman and succeed, because that true freshman is going to make mistakes, which he did against Arizona. And if the team just packs it in on him, Jake Heaps throws 5 interceptions against Utah. The team packs it in, and he's never the same player ever again.
I know A-Rod caught some heat over the weekend. I saw people complaining about how slow they ran that second-to-last drive. Just like, they won the game. It was brilliant. I thought he was awesome. He didn't give Arizona any chance. He is a part of why Brent Brennan thought they could run the clock out late in the game because they got it with 4 minutes left, which is just enough time to feel awkward about how you're going to approach this. So credit A-Rod for not putting Bear in a spot where he was going to turn the ball over again by letting him play really slow, and then B, to not put Bear in a situation to have this game in week 2 or week 3. Because if Bear has this game on the road at East Carolina, maybe the team does pack it in on him. Maybe the team does give up on him and they say, we should have been better with McKay or somebody older. Now you're 6-0. You can't turn your back on him.
Or heaven forbid they're still independent and he has to play Wisconsin or something like that in game 2. You know what I mean? So I'll tell you what. I was rooting last week for both these teams to win to set up one heck of a rivalry game. And I think it accomplished just that. We'll talk a little bit more about the Utes coming up on the other side. There's lots of college football stuff out there today. The Jazz are playing. Ben, it's one of those Mondays. We got a lot. We'll get to it coming up next, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's time to break down the biggest stories of the day. This is the top 3 stories of the day on KSLSports.com. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson. Want to remind you about Win Ticket Wednesday, your chance to win big every week. This Wednesday, you can win tickets to go see Eric Church and the Free the Machine Tour, October 23rd at the Delta Center. Find your tickets at SeatGeek and listen to the KSL Sports Zone all day on Wednesday for your chance to win. Time for the top 3 stories of the day, KSLSports.com, brought to you by J. Brooks Jewelers. Cherish your love with J. Brooks Jewelers. Explore their expertly crafted engagement rings made from the finest materials. J. Brooks Jewelers. All right, Christian, where do you want to start today?
Number 1, Utah got the big win at home, crushing Arizona State.
What were your takeaways?
Utah is good when they get the lead.
Yeah. It's a bad team to be behind play from behind.
I think that's part of the difference, and we can get to Arizona State in a second, but part of the difference between the Utah-Arizona State game and the Utah-Texas Tech game is the way that Utah is allowed to play when they get a lead. And then that makes a desperate team with a backup quarterback in the rain even more desperate. And then I think that's how you end up with such a lopsided victory. I mean, this was the recipe for success for a Utah team. But if you want to look where the game was won, it was won and the true difference between the Arizona State and Texas Tech game was the offensive line performance against the defensive line. And the way that Utah dominated physically. I mean, if you listen to Dilly, he'll tell you they were dominated on both sides of the ball. But yeah. I think that one was particularly relevant because the way that you were going to win and win big was running the ball for 276 yards and 6 touchdowns, given the circumstances and how Utah is built. If they can run over the other team, it's going to be a really long day for the other team. And that's what happened to Arizona State, in my opinion. So give Utah all the credit, but this is how they want to play and win.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing to look at the numbers. Devin Dampier, 7 of 12 passing. I mean, that's a scrimmage. He played 1 quarter of a scrimmage, and they wanted to get him out there and throw the ball around a little bit. And, yeah, I mean, it totally goes back to the adage is if you can't stop the run, don't worry about stopping the throw.
Yeah,
and
you're in big trouble.
Arizona State could not stop the run in the slightest.
Nope.
At any point in the game, and Utah recognized it early, and I think you're spot on. That's the worst-case scenario when you're playing in the rain. If you fall behind, you can't stop the opposing team from running the ball, and you have to throw the ball to catch up.
And you have a backup quarterback.
You're dead.
Yeah, you're
dead
dead in the water.
You just have no chance. So this was not a scheduled loss, but you could have looked at this game when you start to add in all those different elements. Backup quarterback who's not particularly good.
No, and he had to throw the ball 38 times.
And he's not a thrower.
In the rain.
And had 12 completions. It's
going to be a long day for that dude.
It was brutal. It was a very brutal setup for Arizona State. But credit for Utah, who did not let them off the hook in the slightest and absolutely bullied them up and down the field every time they touched the ball. Devin Dampier, I thought, was pretty spectacular, and that's how you're going to have to win some tough games. Devin Dampier is going to have to put the team on his shoulders at times to win games. I had thought that would be the case against Arizona State, and Arizona State was just too good.
Well, on his legs.
Or, excuse me, Texas Tech. I thought he was going to have to do it against Texas Tech, and Texas Tech was too good. Arizona State, he could just he could just hold the ball and run around, and it was fine.
His legs are going to have to win you games. I think Correct. If his arm is going to have to win a Utah game, I think that's still up in the air. If you want to get to keys of the Utah-BYU game on Monday, if BYU gets out to a lead early, that's their best shot at a victory. Because Utah's going to have a tough time coming from behind. And if they get on top, you're in real trouble because they're going to hold the ball the whole game, and you're going to have very limited opportunities.
You're right. If you're down 2 scores to BYU early, it's going to be the same situation Arizona State found itself against Utah.
Right.
They're going to try and milk the clock, run the ball out, and Bear and LJ Martin can do that.
Right. And so all of a sudden Dampier is going to have to throw the ball to win, and we have not seen that yet. You give him a game to win with his legs and running the option, he's really good at that.
He's really, really good.
He's really good at that. It was when they lost at the line of scrimmage against Texas Tech, he really wasn't able to do it. And maybe it had something to do with his injury because Witt's been waving that around a lot, and maybe now he's healthy and it's going to make a difference. Sure.
But they were also playing from behind. Exactly.
But
like
they were playing from behind.
And it wasn't big, but they were behind.
Yep. And the line of scrimmage wasn't going their way, and it was tough sledding. So those are key things for this Utah team. And Witt was genuinely surprised after the Texas Tech game that they lost up front with the offensive line specifically. I think he said the word surprise. Mm-hmm. And you got to give the Raiders credit for their defensive front. And that's why I certainly think they're more legitimate today than I did at the beginning of the year, is because this might be the first tough Texas Tech team ever.
Yeah, they're extremely tough.
Extremely tough. Did you see how much they ran the ball? Against Kansas, which I saw most of that game as I was getting stuff done around the house. And hold on, I just want to be...
It was over 300 yards.
Yeah, I want to be exact with the rushing. It's 372 yards.
Yeah, right. That's not
against
a game.
Kansas.
Yeah.
9.3 yards per rush.
Yeah. No, they're
wow.
Obviously the class of the Big 12. I don't want to get lost in a Texas Tech conversation, but they've been awesome.
They will not ever get my number one vote in our power poll. But, yeah, they look pretty good.
That is, you're right.
Well, they should have known about my ability to vote before they made it personal. That's not my fault.
Yeah, they were the one who started this. Let's quickly, though, recap. Utah now, through 6 weeks, has scored 43 points, 63 points, 31 points at Wyoming, not great, 10 points against Texas Tech, 48 points on the road at West Virginia, and 42 points against Arizona State. I get this is not a fully complete offense. I get that Devin Dampierre is not picking teams apart with his arm. They're scoring 40 points a game with relative ease, and I don't think Arizona State in that setup is particularly good, and I know West Virginia's not particularly good, but that was on the road. And then you did get Arizona State at home in a horrible rainstorm where they couldn't move the ball at all, and Utah's still putting up 40 points. I think we may need to give Utah's offense more credit.
Yeah, sure, fine. I mean, you're right about the point totals, but they haven't really played a defense.
Arizona State was a pretty good defense.
We thought so going in. I don't know. I mean, they got dominated, and yeah, certainly I'm not attempting to take credit away from Utah in that sense, but BYU's I think is a real defense, and so that's the
last good defense BYU plays or Utah plays this year.
So yeah, that's the thing with the Big 12. Everybody, it's not this big tough league. It never really has been.
Hasn't been. It looked like it might be more of this year, but you play BYU and then you go Colorado, Cincinnati, who's good, Baylor, Kansas State, Kansas. You don't play a good defense after this weekend.
So yeah, it's interesting because Texas Tech is a real. That's a real defense, and it's a real tough team. And I think BYU is a real defense and a real tough team, too. So that will be – I think a lot of it so depends on the flow. Because if BYU limits the mistakes early, we have all weekend to get into this. And
I'm excited for this
if the Bear can keep a lid on it and score and get up before he makes mistakes – that makes a huge difference. If he throws picks at the beginning in the first quarter and Utah gets a couple of easy scores, maybe even a pick six or something like that, then all of a sudden the recipe of the game is totally different.
Correct.
God, I love the rivalry game.
Yeah,
this is good. It's going to be a good one, and Fox is going to be here. So, old Big Fox. Yeah, Christian Cox, our guy, is going to be on with us at 11:30. You say, Christian, to break this all down. I'm excited to talk to Christian. All right, what's next?
Number 2, Ace Bailey makes his preseason Delta Center debut tonight.
Well, he's more than exceeded the hype through his first 2 games. Scored 20 again on the road at San Antonio, and yes, that game went to overtime. It was way different than his first game when he scored 25 points. It was much quieter, and not in a bad way. Quiet in a kind of didn't dominate the ball. He didn't really against Houston either, but he had the ball even less. It was a lot of remember Klay Thompson scoring, 37 points?
Yeah, without dribbling.
In a quarter. I think he had 6 dribbles and 37 points. Now, look, he had 20 points for the game. I'm not comparing him to Klay Thompson.
No, but the way he scored is very relevant.
He never needs to dribble, which is so funny because he's playing so well right now, Ace Bailey. He really is. And the Jazz talked to Will Hardy yesterday at practice, and he said, we're trying to contain. He didn't say excitement, but basically said we're trying to restrain ourselves on asking how much we can expect of him because they recognize there's a real thing here. There's a real player here. And I know we're just 2 games in, but the physical tools and the shot making are really impressive. What we have seen from Ace is not the guy he was at Rutgers that made him so special. Now the shot making was part of it and the physical tools are part of it, but it was Ace taking all these crazy difficult shots and still making them the Jazz are just running sets for him to pull up into 18-footers, 19-footers, and he can shoot over everybody, so it becomes really easy for him. And then he attacks these closeouts and doesn't have to dribble. and gets all the way to the rim. It's extraordinarily impressive, and you haven't even seen kind of the true magic yet that made him such an eye-opening player when he was at his best at Rutgers. So I think that's where the excitement comes in. But, he doesn't have to do a whole lot to produce a lot, and those guys are really valuable.
Here's a weird comparison for you, because I think you bring up a very relevant point about the shots that he's getting and the way that he's scoring. Who would you take, a healthy Jason Tatum or a healthy Anthony Edwards? And let's just say they were the same age for the sake of argument.
I'm taking Tatum.
I'm taking Tatum too. And part of the reason I'm taking Tatum is because he doesn't have to have the ball the whole game.
Yeah.
Anthony Edwards has to have the ball the whole game.
And is a heck of a player.
And
no
is great. Yes, nobody. No,
Anthony Edwards.
we're picking between apple and pumpkin pie here. I mean,
Yeah.
even though I don't particularly like pumpkin, but I think
Christian pumpkin pie guy.
Love pumpkin.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's share one. Let's share one this month.
Oh,
Tis the season.
my daughters love pumpkin pie too. I'm in the minority, but anywho, I would also pick Tatum. You mentioned Klay Thompson. His superpower really was that he didn't have to have the ball the whole game to be really, really effective.
Yeah.
And Jason Tatum is a star, so don't confuse what we're talking. Jason, Klay Thompson, you could say, oh, he was the third best player on those Warriors team and the ultimate role player and all this and that. Tatum is the star. He is a star. And in fact, if he were a more selfish player, Jaylen Brown, we wouldn't even know his name.
Right.
Because he'd never have the ball. But Jason Tatum can be effective in so many different ways that don't necessarily require him to dribble. He's such a great player for that reason.
Yeah.
I mean, the ultimate five-tool player.
Yeah, he really
can
is.
do it all.
Yeah.
And so if Ace Bailey can be that, where he can be like, oh, yeah, I'll average 27 a night without having to dribble the whole game, I think that's ideal. And he guards. But I did not think that was the headline from that game.
What'd you think?
Of course it is, because can become a star is always the headline for every game.
Forgot about it. Took one weekend, I forgot about it. Glad it's back.
I thought Bryce Sensabaugh was the headline. Because
Bryce,
at times, it wasn't the whole game, but at times he was by far the best player on the floor. Maybe when old Wemby was sitting. But you get my point. I mean, he was a walking bucket. But he put in 26 even though he wasn't 7 for 8 from 3, which had kind of been which had kind of been the thing for him, where he was just lights out from 3 and incredible. And you brought it up, and maybe it's still that 3-and-D guy, the only shots he should be taking are threes. The fact that he's capable of doing more than that is intriguing to me. And maybe he doesn't turn out to be more well-rounded, but I don't know. The concept of Bryce Sensabaugh really intrigues me.
my theory on Bryce, and I think what I haven't asked, and I should, but I'd probably have to do it off the record, to be honest with you, to get a real answer from somebody, is I think he can. The more you give him, the more he will produce. And I know everyone says, like, well, duh. It's like, no, actually, some guys have a limit. Some guys can only handle 10 possessions a game or 8 possessions a game, and anything beyond that is too much. You know, you have to be in very specific situations. I think Bryce will keep doing more if you keep giving him more. The question is, at what point are there diminishing returns?
Yep.
And a lot of guys, I think it's obvious where that is. Some guys, it's not. And Bryce, I don't know where it gets obvious. And so that's what's the question for him. Like, you know, there's a legitimate situation where he averages 18 points a game this year and is the second leading scorer on the team. Like, he's showing that. He leads the NBA in scoring right now through 2 preseason games. It's 2 preseason games, but he's averaging 25 points a game. It's like, if that was easy to do, more guys would do it, and it's not.
And he's got size. That's the thing. He's not limited by...
And he's also efficient.
Right.
Because he shoots the heck out of the ball.
He's intriguing to me.
I'm totally with you. And the Jazz, we've talked about this a lot. They have... these 7 draft picks or whatever it is on the roster, 8 draft picks on the roster, 3-year. It was Keontae, Taylor, Bryce, Kyle Filipowski, Isaiah Collier, Cody Williams, and now Walt Clayton and Ace Bailey.
Walt was also good, by the way.
Walt was really good.
Yeah.
You need, 4 of them to hit? 3 of them to really hit? Like, Bryce could be one of those guys, no question about it.
I think so, too. I guess that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
I find the concept of Bryce really intriguing.
There's nothing wrong if Bryce is one of those guys, because he's really talented.
All right, next.
Number 3, the Utah Mammoth picked up their first win of the season at Nashville. This just in, defenseman Sean Dursey expected to miss at least 4 weeks with an upper body injury.
He got laid out in overtime, and it was the same shoulder that he dislocated last year that he missed 50 games from. So I was actually kind of relieved this morning when I saw it was only 4 weeks as opposed to season ending, because it looked like, did you just undo all of the surgery that you had a year ago? That would have stunk. But, man, that was a tough game. They scored 2 minutes into the game and then fell behind and could not find the back of the net again, and they were really aggressive. As Dylan Gunther called them, they were really greasy. They score a tough one with Jack McBain to tie it up, send it to OT. Vejmelka was awesome. And then Dylan Gunther, who is developing into a true star in our state and a really, really high-level player and a clutch player, scored another awesome goal in overtime. Utah, the Mammoth, had the puck the entire overtime. It was pretty cool. But that was a gritty goal. It was a gritty game. It was a mature win for somebody who's still learning hockey. You could just tell that, like, a younger team, a weaker team, gets beat up and gets pushed out and doesn't find a way to win that game. And they really persevered. I thought it was a fun game to watch. It was hard to watch, but it was fun to watch.
Greasy.
That's what he says.
I like that.
Greasy.
Yeah,
He said,
like
we got
that.
scores. He said,
Like that?
McBain scored a big greasy goal, and I thought that's a weird term.
But you totally know what he's talking about.
Exactly. Yeah, I know exactly what he's talking about.
Those are the best terms.
Yeah.
All right. Thank God Schefter took off that stupid Masters shirt.
Yeah, he got him in an actual hotel room with some lighting.
More next, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's another battle for the Aggies, and the KSL Sports Zone has it covered. Utah State returns home for a Friday night battle against San Jose State. Your home for all the play-by-play coverage of Aggie football is right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson.
Let's lock in.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Ethan Millard with Teton Wealth will be live in studio today with Hanson Scotty G. He's going to help you with your retirement plan. Tune in or visit retireteton.com today.
You feeling bad for James Franklin?
No. But you know what? Well, we can get into it now. Or do you want, we can get into this coming up a little later maybe. Did you read the backstory on why they fired him then? As a, lost to Northwestern or whatever.
Yeah, he lost 3 straight.
But do you know who made the decision? The fine folks at Adidas.
I've heard this rumor.
Well, it was reported out there. I have to go back and find out exactly who did it.
Because Adidas has a big endorsement essentially starting next year, right? Like this huge, was it $300 million investment? I think going into Penn State. And I think the contract officially begins this offseason next year. And look, this is the dirty little secret about college athletics for a really long time, and you can track Donovan Mitchell, and you can track Arizona, and all that. They were Nike school, right? Nike kids in high school go to Nike colleges.
They
or
do.
Whatever it is.
It was Adidas because Adidas was the one that got busted by the feds.
Donovan Mitchell was Adidas, right?
Yes,
and went to Louisville as an Adidas school.
Big time Adidas. Yeah.
And this has been common for a long time. So now it's just kind of the secret's removed. You expect it. If you're an Adidas kid, you're going to go to an Adidas college because that school is paying you and Adidas is paying you and et cetera, et cetera. It just goes up the line. But yes, to this point, Adidas has maybe carte blanche over the coaching decisions at Penn State. And James Franklin, after entering the season with, was it some polls number 2? Was it even number 1 in some polls?
Yeah, I don't.
Whatever it was, they were top 2 in a lot of the polls entering the season. Is now, are they 3-3?
Yeah, and they've lost 3 straight, including to Northwestern at home and UCLA.
Previously winless UCLA, who might actually have a pulse.
Well, I like their interim guy.
He's much better than the last guy.
What's his first name? No, their interim guy's really good. He did a really good job at Fresno State.
So that win's going to look better for Utah than I thought it would.
One thing that I hate about college sports, and I don't use the term hate lightly, but I hate the feckless leadership that has given up all power to other entities because they're too cowardly to make a decision. It's the reason conference realignment is such a mess. It's a reason that Utah and BYU have to play in the middle of the night all the time. Mm-hmm. It's because college presidents don't know what they're doing because they don't know how to run professional sports organizations. So they cede their decision making to somebody else. In this case, Adidas. In the case of conference realignment, it's all about the television. All the presidents out there have just thrown up their hands and said, whatever the mouse wants to do. We'll join the Big Ten. That's what Fox wants us to do. So that's what we're going to do. Their presidents don't stand up for what's right or for athletes or students or the league or anything or fans. Yeah. They don't care about any of it.
No, they care about the money.
They just cede the, what's the complaint from people out there that Congress never wants to make a decision, so they've given all the power to the executive branch. Mm-hmm. You know, it's because they're too cowardly to put their own political lives on the line to do the right thing, so they just cede all control over to someone else, which is, not great.
Not great.
But think about it. Like, Nike has made the last 3 football hires for Oregon. Adidas is now fired. Like, what would have happened if Utah had let Under Armour fire Kyle Whittingham last year? Utah could have fired Kyle Whittingham last year. They would have had grounds to do it.
Yeah.
They didn't. They stood by their guy, and that appears to be paying off for the football team. Kyle Whittingham said, I'll do what's best for the program. Me coming back is what's best for the program. Utah backed his play, and they're reaping the rewards at the moment. We'll see how the rest of the season goes, but I think a lot of people in Ute land are optimistic, and sticking with their guys paid off. What if they would have fired Witt after losing to Houston last year? Penn State, why don't you stick by your guy? He's been good there for a decade.
He has won there.
A decade.
Yeah, and he cleaned up a very tattered at best image.
I cannot stand Penn State. I root for him to lose every game. But Adidas wanted to fire him at the beginning of the year. You backed him. Why'd you give up?
Yeah.
Why'd you give up?
Yeah.
And by the way, Adidas needs Penn State way more than Penn State needs Adidas. So why are you letting them call the shots?
That's an interesting point.
Adidas has 5 schools.
Yeah.
If you look to Adidas compared to Nike, it's not, Nike has the whole country. Mm-hmm. Adidas, we'd have to look. Adidas has like 5 or 10 schools, something like that. And some of them are very high profile. Like most of them are very high profile because they have so few.
Yeah.
And they invest all those resources into those schools. If Penn State went to Nike, it would be a disaster for Adidas. A disaster. So why would you let Adidas call all the shots?
I'm trying to figure out. Sorry, I'm trying to just look up who has it.
It just drives me crazy that people in these leadership positions don't make decisions. They just cede those decisions to other people and hide behind it.
Yeah.
UCLA should not be in the Big Ten. That is not what's best for that university. You cannot tell me that is what's best for that university. And they have to split their proceeds with Cal. Why didn't UCLA say, no, we're not going to the Big Ten? Yeah. Are you kidding? Well, that would be a disaster for us.
Because they wanted the money. But yes, they didn't. They did that at the sacrifice of everything
else. But why should the money rule out, especially at a public university?
Yeah.
If there's any place on the planet that should not be considering the money as the only thing, it is a public university who supposedly has the best interest of students, faculty, coaches, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
And they talk out of one side of their mouth, and then they hide behind the mouse on the other side to make decisions that they know are going to be unpopular and possibly unsuccessful. But what do you want? The mouse gets what it wants.
Yep.
Just hide behind it. So Penn State doesn't stick with their guy, who, by the way, has delivered a decade of good football.
Yeah, Rose Bowl wins, et cetera.
Because they hide behind Adidas and say, oh, Adidas wanted this. Well, shame on you, you coward, which, ironically enough, is the reason that Penn State got into the problem that it did because of cowardly behavior, and nobody would stick up to anybody because everybody was scared to mess with the football success. Joe Paterno killed that because he didn't want it to ruin the program. It's terrible. Somebody needs to take some accountability. There needs to be leadership somewhere in college sports. It's just a joke. I can't believe I'm the one guy defending James Franklin.
So you do feel a little bad for James Franklin.
He wins for a freaking decade, and then he gets put out on his ear because All Day I Dream About Soccer decides that he's not the guy going into their new contract. Screw that.
James Franklin, if he wants to coach again, will land on his feet. He'll get another good coach.
I don't feel bad for him personally.
Of course, no. He's got $50 million
mad.
in his pocket.
I'm mad at the cowardly people who are supposed to be running this sport, who constantly make terrible decisions because they have ceded all their power to people that don't have the best interest of the sport or the student or the university at heart because they're scared.
Yeah.
And good for Utah for sticking with Witt. I don't know if Under Armour was pressuring Utah to fire
Boy, that would
Witt.
have been stupid.
Probably not.
That would have been dumb.
But good for Utah for sticking with their guy, 1,000%. I hope it pays off for them because it was a bold move. They could have easily fired Witt, or they wouldn't have fired him, right? They would have encouraged retirement.
Sure.
Which, by the way, I mean, James Franklin's run at Penn State is not all that dissimilar to Witt's run at Utah. Witt's run is longer by a pretty significant amount.
Double the time, yeah.
But they've won at a similar clip. Mm-hmm. What Witt lost to Franklin in the Rose Bowl, right? Mm-hmm. So it's crazy. Where's the loyalty? Or what is the standard? You can't lose 3 games in a row ever at Penn State? Good luck. I hope Penn State goes exactly the direction of Nebraska after they fired Frank Solich for winning 9 games.
Yeah.
Well, that's not the Nebraska standard. Well, they've sucked for 20 years ever since. 25 years ever since.
Seems like Matt Rule's the obvious guy.
I hope he fails.
Former Penn State player and played for Joe Pa. Yeah, knows the world. So.
All right, stay tuned. We'll have more coming up next. It's the Jake and Ben Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.